there, my name is Ciara Judge. I'm a Nissan Generation Next ambassador and I've had a pretty busy January, so let's get down to it. So first of all, quite early into January, I had the pleasure of welcoming Clive to Ireland, and he is a videographer that was part of the Outbox Incubator program that I attended last summer. So they're creating a documentary on that program, and I am one of the executives that is being featured during it. So I had a great time. We were filming for a day and kind of brought him around Kinsale and also performed the Outbox song many times because it's going to be the backing track to the documentary apparently. Then, quite soon after that, I received news from all the way from Japan that the article for which I was interviewed in December for the Yomiuri Shimbun, I think I'm pronouncing that right, was published at last, and that was very exciting because the Yomiuri Shimbun has the largest circulation of any newspaper in the world. It has like almost 11 million readers a day. So basically I received the news and I was like, oh okay, so 11 million Japanese people just saw my face, and then I saw that this was the picture that they used and I was like, oh great, 11 million people just saw my face. It was quite cool to see like my photo, and that's Emer there because she was part of the photo shoot, aside all these like Japanese characters, and it was kind of weird like trying to figure out what they meant and didn't get anywhere at all. And it was very cool. I think I'm going to frame this just because it's probably one of the more unusual things that has happened to me. And yeah, sorry for my face, all those Japanese people. So then it was time for the first road trip of this month to visit the BT Young Scientist. So it was quite nice to return. We go back to the Young Scientist every year and it's always nice to return there because that's where our journey began, really, and you know, everything that we have today we really do owe to the BT Young Scientist. So it was nice to kind of go up there and give back. So Emer and I piled into the back of Jeff the Duke because still neither of us have our full learner's permit, which means that we can't go on the motorway. So Mom was the chauffeur this time, but it was good because it meant that we had time to get some work done. So we got to the BT Young Scientist and it was an early start for me for the first day. Because I was going to the Bright Sparks breakfast where I was speaking on behalf of BT Young Scientist winners with my sister, and also with the past participant Rona Toher of Restored Hearing. And the panel was actually moderated by Claire Byrne from RTE, who I've worked with before, so it was nice to see her again. So then for the rest of that day and the day after, I was actually on the job at the Project Silker stand, because at the BT Young Scientist there was a little stand for all of the past participants in the BT Young Scientist that have gone on to create businesses or organisations. So myself, Emer and Gabby from Project Silker were exhibiting there, and it was great. We got to speak to so many students. We were really immersed in our target market, and on that day the beta for the Project Silker site actually came out, which was very exciting, and we were able to gather a lot of beta testers from the competitors at the competition, which was very useful. That weekend was actually busy for me for a number of reasons as well, just because I had a lot of press interviews to be doing, both for the Young Scientist. I think I was on TV3 News, but also for the upcoming TEDx Teen event, which was taking place the following week on the 16th. It was also my first time driving in Dublin, so I drove from the hotel to the RDS both days that I was up there, and you know, I really got the experience of Dublin traffic and stuff. And I also drove my Irish teacher because she was up chaperoning the kids from my school, so you know, there was no pressure or anything, didn't want to go killing my Irish teacher. That night was also extra special because myself and the other past winners actually had the honour of welcoming our two newest members of the family. The two girls from Balbriggan, who I'm sure you saw in the news. Their story is incredible and their project is absolutely fascinating, so I'm sure we haven't heard the last of them, and who knows, maybe they'll even be Nissan Generation Next ambassadors in the years to come. So yeah, only had to wait, only had 4 days of school to endure before I was taking off again to go to London for my rehearsals and then to speak at TEDx Teen. Honestly, it was probably one of the most unforgettable experiences that I've ever had in my life, just because my fellow speakers were the most inspiring people that I've ever come across. So I did a talk titled Changing the World in Your Pyjamas, and here's where the twist is. I actually did the talk in my pyjamas. So it got a pretty good reaction, but I have to admit it was quite nerve-wracking going on stage in the O2 Arena. You know, this event is one of the biggest TEDx's in the world, streamed to more than 120 countries, and I was wearing my pyjamas, so it took a bit of guts. I would definitely give it a watch. It should be coming out in the coming days. TEDx Teen was actually one of the most crazy experiences as well, just because of everything that came from it. I was featured in the London Times, as well as I appearing in Teen Vogue, which is something that a lot of teenage girls dream of, so that was very surreal. And also after my talk did an interview online with MTV, which was a really cool experience and a lot of fun. Yeah, so I actually got the exact same flight over to London the following week with Emer, because we were giving a presentation at Bet's show to educators and students. Basically, we were telling our story, and then we were telling teachers and people with influence in the education system why we should educate to innovate. So basically, why we should make allowance in the education system to not just teach for exams and study for exams, but to give young people the tools that they need to go out into the real world and apply their skills to make real world change, to break outside the box, as we like to say, and pursue their interests and use those interests to actually make real world change. So we had a great time at Bet. It was also very good because we got to make a lot of contacts for both Project Zilker and Germinate. There's a lot of exciting stuff coming up with Germinate very soon, and definitely stay tuned for that. Bet Show was actually quite special for me for a different reason, because Bet Show is my last appearance before I essentially go dark, just because I need to take some time to focus on school, obviously with the big leaving cert coming up, because whilst the Zilker beta and the Purchase Mate beta were launched in January, you know, there's a lot more to come from me, so definitely check out my social media links, and all that sort of stuff will be a really good source of what's actually happening behind the scenes and where improvements are coming along. Yes, so that's it from me. Time for me to spend some time focusing on my studies, and I need to go do some study right now for my pre's, which are fast approaching. Yeah, I hope they don't suffer as a result of my very busy January, but you know, the experiences that I've had are worth a lot more than just letters on a report card. So this has been my January. I'm having a great time being a Nissan Generation Next ambassador, and stay tuned for next month.